So just picking up where Anthony stopped, I'd like to present you the main outcomes of this effort of the consortium during the last 1.5 years to collect a number of best practices and innovations across these regional hubs. The overall aim is really to find solutions that correspond to the knowledge needs and to innovation opportunities. And on the one hand, and on the other hand, look into this digitalization, let's say this major trend, to use digital tools in training, in coaching, and also as a solution to enhance the wood value chain. So the main aim, as we just pointed out, is really to, let's say, create a first collection of information and also develop sort of a network and a process behind it that can be used to spread this information more effectively throughout Europe. So let's say a first model of a first pan-European forestry archive, if you want. And this is really the aim, to bring practitioners together, to have practitioners which are really very regional and locally connected, I would say, especially in forestry, that there is much more exchange across Europe, across borders, across regions. And of course, also these innovations that are working well in one region, that they are spread more widely, but that there's also more dissemination of these results throughout the whole community, in the forest community, I would say. And for this, we could build on the very first Rosewood project that created, let's say, the initial group of hubs. But this community grew larger, in this project. And we basically followed in this first work package where we collected this information a three steps approach. The first was that all these regional hub partners screened existing practices and ongoing innovations in their regions. They were collected in a common database. They were reviewed by the consortium, and the, let's say, interesting and relevant ones were selected as a subset for further discussion. And these were also then discussed with stakeholders from the regions, with invited experts to these workshops to, let's say, identify the most relevant and most useful ones from the hubs. So this included best practices from the own hubs, from the own regions, but as well also looking beyond the border of the region, what is happening in other hubs and what is really relevant for, let's say, a transfer between regions. Where would practitioners be interested to learn more about a best practice from another region? The stakeholders were engaged in a series of workshops. It was roughly 3 workshops per hubs. Some of them are still ongoing, and we will maybe even continue with some meetings in the future. We had, of course, also to adapt to the COVID situation, but finally this worked quite well for us, because we managed by these digital meetings also to connect, let's say, make more direct connections between the hubs in a way. But of course, it was a bit more challenging to be not out in the field and not having direct engagement with the stakeholders. So it's both positive and negative, this experience. As I just said, this community has already grown in a living community of practitioners and experts. The whole team in Rosewood approximately comprises 75 team members, but we are also reaching out with all these meetings to much more actors and stakeholders around. And this is, of course, also now the goal, that we show this to you as the European associations and the EIP Agri, to even spread this network further and think about how can we grow this into a living community that can continue. I will give a quick overview of this main results from this collection stage. So in the database, we basically identified regional best practices and innovations. They were collected with a common fact sheet template. So basically a short abstract, some contact data, and links and websites and reports. So all kinds of resources linked to that. And as we are still continuing to collect, we have to say this is really an ongoing process. But at the moment, we are at 457 best practices from 24 countries that are collected in the list. And from these, 150 were taken over from the first Rosewood project, which also had already a lot of best practices relevant for digitalization and knowledge sharing. And then 300 more in this 1.5 years of the Rosewood 4.0 project. Out of these, we selected a first set. This is, let's say, the main priority group of best practices of 50, which are actually finalized really into visual fact sheets, and which shall also be fed directly to the EIP Agri for further dissemination. That's actually part of our grant agreement. And currently we are working on the second batch of another 50 best practices that will also be developed into this, let's say, main results of the project. If you look at the graph, there is a bit of a distribution across these hubs. One reason is, of course, that, let's say, Finland and Germany and also Spain are having so many results. It's because they were the key partners also in the first Rosewood project. And on the other hand, of course, Germany and Finland are, let's say, very advanced and also very large countries, let's say, in the forestry sector. So that's not a surprise that we have so many identified examples there. But you see, you find it in every country and you find it across all regions. There are really interesting results to be collected and to be shared further in the community. Yeah, this is an overview over the hubs. So 100 roughly from the northern hub, 130 from the central hub, and around 100 from the southwestern hub. And Central Eastern Europe, 50, Southeastern Europe, 43. And we also collected a little bit, let's say, European projects and also international activities, but this was not the main focus of the project. However, it's quite interesting to see how these best practices distribute across different, let's say, categories. We call them domains, relevant in forest, let's say, forest development, forest management, and forest science. So a lot of these best practices relate to inventory, assessment, and monitoring. Yeah, this is very clear. A lot of technical advancement has happened there in the last years. Another main area is harvesting, logistics, and transports. A lot of these solutions directly target machines, harvesting processes, and so on. Another large group really relates to ownership and cooperation. This is, of course, a main topic and main focus of wood mobilization in general. And also, let's say, quite, surprisingly, or let's say, we are quite happy with this result, is that there are also a lot of results to be found in the area of education, research, and knowledge transfer. So this group more comprises best practices that are more transversal, how to spread this knowledge inside the communities. All these results, let's say this list of best practices has been collected in a knowledge platform, and we spent quite some effort to develop this platform and make it user-friendly and easily accessible. It is an open portal, which actually allows the user to read information in many languages. We can include, the main core information clearly is in English, as this is a European project, but there's also the possibility directly within a fact sheet to introduce a translated version of it, and also introduce also the national languages. And also the search functions can be actually used in national languages. So this is, I think, quite a strong point thinking about the European forestry archives. The information is created in a way that it can also feed into other platforms. It's a database behind. So this is to be discussed how these fact sheets and these results can also be used in other platforms. For creating this content, we basically set up an editorial team. This comprises partners from the hubs and also national editors. So people who actually can read and proofread, let's say, fact sheets in other languages. And all this is actually possible in this platform. Yeah, editors can connect with a special login and can edit and create these fact sheets and work on the translations. We are also foreseeing actually a possibility that outsiders, so let's say stakeholders from anywhere in Europe, can also include own fact sheets, so like submit their own best practices. This is already also implemented. We have to test this a little bit more, that this is, let's say, waterproof. And then actually this platform will really be open to all practitioners, so that they can include their own results or their own best practices. Yeah, the platform itself, it has this main interface. There is this query form. Just to say that this is a beta version. We still work on the visualization a little bit more, but it's quite straightforward. We have a query platform, a query form where you can search for text and also for these categories, or also for languages. And then you receive a resulting list of best practices that could correspond to this search. A fact sheet itself comprises, basically the main title and the main info, an abstract, which is really straightforward to the point. This was our decision to really not collect long texts or long content, because this would really slow down or prevent even the translation of this material, and also the readability of the information. So this is not a scientific platform where we want to collect data and content, but it's really providing short abstracts, nice teasers and visuals, and links to further resources, so that the interested reader can actually go to the main source or can contact the organizations that is working on this kind of information further. It's a platform to direct people to the right information source. As one main activity in the ROSEWOOD 4.0 project, we also developed a series of video clips. So out of this, let's say, priority list of best practices, the regional hubs decided to pick around 5 clips per hub, and to develop informational videos, both in national languages and also with English subtitles. So some of the videos are actually in English, but others are, a large part is mainly in the national language, and then we have the English subtitles. And these are very attractive films, so we used really professional support there and post-production to make them quite attractive. And these best practices give a nice spotlight on certain promising solutions that are really important in the region, and that are really also important for the hub to be disseminated further. So you can find all of these on the YouTube channel, but I will also just highlight a few things later. Yeah, directly to some examples. These fact sheets, as I explained earlier, are grouped according to these different categories, the countries, the domain, the type of solution. But we also have a category of challenges in wood mobilization. And this is the idea to connect best practices to a certain problem. Yeah. So although these are only, let's say, I think in total we have 8 challenges. This is a little bit broad, but at least it gives you a first direction of how can we tackle certain issues and topics in the forestry community, and which kind of best practices are suitable for that. So the first challenge is all about improving forest resilience and adaptation to climate change. A big main topic, of course, we all know that. And just as an example, this is one example that was selected, high precision imagery for bark beetle detection. And it's the same as you do it in the platform. You can just click on it and hopefully the window opens. Let me see. Yeah. Can you see the browser? So a fact sheet, as I said, is this online version. It's actually a best practice from a Swedish company that produces this service to provide a high precision imagery with new multispectral scanners. And here you see that a video was produced from the hub partners to showcase this best practice. and you have interviews with forest owners, you have interviews with the companies, etc. Yes, and it gives you an impression that there is, let's say, quite easy accessible information, and as well, of course, the website of the company. So you would be directed immediately. And that is the same concept for all these fact sheets. Another challenge is improve infrastructures and capacity of public actors. So this group mainly comprises all sorts of solutions that are really implementing data hubs, national forest information systems, data platforms, and so on. So this is the example of the Forest Data Bank in Poland. It's a portal which comprises all kinds of forestry relevant information, and which is actually a data portal where you can access a lot of information. Yeah, we also have a clip. You have the direct contacts in the consortium, and this is this example. Challenge number 3 is activating private forest owners and cooperative forest management. So direct benefits for forest owners. Let me just show you this example. That is a Finnish platform, an e-service for forest owners and service providers. So basically this tool is provided by the Finnish Forest Center, and it offers quite some access to tools and data platforms where private forest owners can include their own ownership data and receive support and advice how to manage forest in a better way. I read here, for example, that 12 million hectares of forest data are already included, and around 100,000 forest owners are using this kind of services. Challenge number 4, ensure a well-trained workforce through attractive skills development and education. So this relates mainly to this tools to train practitioners in the forest value chain, especially forest owners, but also contractors, harvesting companies, and so on. There is many systems are in place, especially also e-learning tools now that can be shown here. This is a tool from Slovenia, Moj Gozdar, My Forester. It's actually a database, a system where there is like a quality check or a quality check for forestry contractors. So a lot of information how harvesting should be carried out in a proper way. And also I think they have an address list and a contact book where you can sort of see how services of service providers are ranked and valued by the clients. Number 5, enhance economic and environmental performance of the forest supply chains. So this looks more at solutions that are really connecting different actors in the supply chain, and which also look into solutions how can we use data in a more efficient way within the forestry supply chain. This example here is from Germany. It's an excellence center for forestry 4.0. It is funded by regional development funds in North Rhine-Westphalia, and then it's actually a training center, or let's call it a test bed, where practitioners in forestry work together with experts in digitalization and are creating sort of a model how to connect different services to a cloud system, but at the same time still maintaining a decentralized structure. Yeah. So how can forest workers provide data to a platform which is then accessible to their clients and to other stakeholders in the value chain? And there are many of such kind of digitalization platforms as examples that you can find across Europe, but this is, let's say, one from Germany. Then challenge 6 looks more into the value-added products and the forest-based bioeconomy. So this is an example of a digitalization project of a sawmill. a quite advanced example actually, and it was also prepared into a video clip. Yeah, how can we increase performance and traceability of timber in sawmills? This is a big topic, of course, in the wood-based industries, but also very important for forestry, because actually they would like to close this data gap between forestry and sawmills, which actually yeah, is a major gap to enhance this whole supply chain. Challenge number 7, groups best practices that raise public awareness, social acceptance, and political support. So many examples around campaigns and awareness campaigns and targeted, let's say, communication activities to make people more aware of the role of forests, of forest management, and of the role of forest owners. This is the, let's say, quite well-known example from France, La Forêt Bouge. The forest is moving. Yeah, and this was provided by our partner CEPF in France. And there's also a very nice video clip that was produced here. But there are many more examples, as I said, yeah, in the platform about this awareness raising. And last but not least, we have an aid group, which is more about all sorts of innovations that are in a transversal nature. So funding initiatives, specific innovation initiatives, cluster attempts. This is just one example of an innovation camp, Evergreen Innovation Camp. I think it was hosted by the Boco University in Vienna, where they actually, yeah, support, let's say, startup companies and also students, of course, to create innovations that can really have a disruptive character or have really approach out of the box thinking for, let's say, main problems in the sector. Yeah, so far a quite quick rush through a few examples, but you get the idea that this is very widely usable and contains a lot of information from various areas, but it makes it very easily accessible to practitioners who are looking for, let's say, examples. These results and these, let's say, even the exchange about these results, all this collected material that was reviewed by the expert actually was considered in 5 regional roadmaps. So every hub created a roadmap document where these kind of challenges, regional challenges and barriers were connected to different best practices and also to best practices that could be transferred from other regions. So this is let's say, a background document where you get information about the different hubs and also the different priorities, which types of solutions and best practices are seen as relevant for these regions. And they were also actually integrated into one cross-regional roadmap document where we focus more on these possibilities to create synergies and opportunities through transfer of knowledge between the regions. Then all the other results, I would say, we haven't shown you everything, but everything will be included in the website. We are also starting more actively the dissemination now, together with EFI, to actually highlight many different practices through social media, through the newsletters. And so in a way, much more of this information that is now finalized will be disseminated actively through the websites and all the other channels that we are creating.